Hello everyone, and welcome back to another lesson on color psychology. So in this specific lesson, we'll be looking at the history of the color black in fashion. So there's actually no official start to the modern popularity of black in European and American women's fashion. So there's many pivotal moments in history that kind of led it to become so popular today. So let's talk about that. Historically, it's been a signifier of grief, dating back to at least the ancient Greeks. As critic John Harvey notes that though the Romans principally dyed clothing black for mourning, there are indications that they prize it for its stylishness, as we do today. While in the 14th century, expensive black clothes had been adopted by up-and-coming European middle classes as a way to dress luxuriously. By the way, colors were by law reserved strictly for the nobility during the 14th century. So by the Protestant Reformation, it had picked up a new symbolism. Black became the color of Calvinism, which is in protest against lavish splendors of Catholicism. It was a sober color of choice of those first pilgrim settlers in America. When it comes to the 16th century, there was a vogue for black clothing among Europe's wealthy, which was all, of course, very expensive. But by the late 1600s, people both in Europe and the US had begun to fall under a spell, the spell of witchcraft. Spurred by religious fanaticism, they began to see evil in black, giving the color its superstitious and dark associations, even today. However, black became exceptionally popular in 1926 with the introduction of Chanel's famed little black dress. But just prior to that period, black was the standard uniform color for domestic servants and the shop girls who staffed retail shop floors. Coco Chanel actually said herself, "I have said that black has it all. White too. Their beauty is absolute, it is the perfect harmony." Social norms, however, were changing the concept of formality in fashion. So people started to dress less formally, sportswear was becoming more popular, and hemlines were growing higher as young society women moved away from eras of lavish and restrictive gowns to something more comfortable and accessible. By the early 1900s, socialites who wanted to appear especially youthful and edgy donned little black dresses and wanted to wear them more often. And in addition to fashion, black had actually another powerful force that really helped it stand out and become so popular. And that force was the age of black and white film. The other great promoter of the little black dress was the camera, especially the movie camera. After 1926, the next pivotal moment was London of the 70s and 80s, which saw a huge subcultural explosion in fashion. We started to see torn fishnets and bondage trousers of punk became, and it didn't just extend to clothing. Hair was dyed, and eyes and lips were coated in dark paint and lipstick. In the US later, we see goth culture was championed by alt-mag propaganda, which pioneered that style long after London. In 1981, the course of fashion history was changed forever when famous designer Rei Kawakubo made her Paris debut with label Comme des Garçons. Dark in color and ridden with holes, the anti-fashion garments were immediately labeled by the fashion press as being Hiroshima chic. But of course, it also helped assert black as a color that belonged in wardrobes of women. As fellow Japanese designer Yamamoto has asserted, black is modest and arrogant at the same time. Black is lazy and easy, but also mysterious. But above all, black says this: I don't bother you, and you don't bother me.